Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Intersentia. It's the EU's Commune Européenne publication, and it's an excellent book on information and notification duties. You probably wonder why I'm bothering to even review this, bearing in mind the decision by the United Kingdom to leave the European Union, which was made in June. I'm recording this slightly later in the year as we begin to see the full horror, if I can put it that way, because I'm not a person who wanted to leave, the full horror of what's happening and the implications of the decision to leave and what is going to happen in the future. Because a lot of the criticisms that have been levelled at the EU by the Brexiteers in particular are about some of the detailed aspects of what's been happening within the EU itself. And this involves also a number of issues concerning regulatory matters and the bureaucracy of everything. So we have this book, which is Information and Notification Duties. It's been edited by two people, Eel Samoy and Marco B.M. Luz. There's the front page. It's volume 141 in the series. It's from Intersentia in connection with Metro, and you can see the front. There's the spine. It's a paperback, and you can see at the back there's a little bit of information which I'll refer to on the back. You've got no index as such at the back. You've got a little bit of information about the EU's Commune Européenne at the back. That's explaining what the organisation is, the ICE. And it just sets out the various volumes. But what you have at the front is the first page there. You see the names of the people who are involved. There's an introduction which looks specifically at what this information notification duties are. You've obviously got a lot of information on the side here concerning the availability of the book, the ISBN and all the other information. I will quote, technology and economical developments require contracting parties to be informed and advised, informed about the characteristics of the services or goods they order, well advised about their choices and options, informed about the remedies that may be used against them, and well protected from the consequences of a lack of information or notification. It is only through the gathering and supply of information that one can obtain knowledge. In sum, information and notification duties are designed to facilitate a well-informed behaviour. Now that is basically the introduction, and it says information notification duties can be found in different varieties, and then it goes on to discuss them. You see there's a lot of footnoting and a great deal of detail. This is not an easy book to read either, but I think it will be for someone who is a specialist, will find it quite helpful. Anyway, what do Elizabeth and I say about this? Well, for our review title, we've given it, for our appreciation, this title, a further excellent title arriving at a time of massive upheaval in Europe after the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union. Now, clearly that's had a very substantial effect on the way we might be viewing these publications in future. I, for one, think the Intersentia books are of great value to us here, notwithstanding that they are published and translated, but they are actually very useful because they give us some indication of where we might in the future be going with those areas of the law that we have at the moment, the way we do things, which we can keep as we prepare to leave the European Union. Because one has to be practical about this and say, well, if we've made the decision, that's going to happen. The question then is what happens with what we've actually got as the legal infrastructure, with the way we do our business in terms of trade, contract and everything else, and the legal implications. Now I'm giving a general view here, but you can see that information and notification duties are important. One of the arguments that people put forward during the referendum campaign in the UK was that there was too much interference with what was going on in the United Kingdom from Brussels. Now again, there are balances to come into this, and you can see from this the duties that may be placed on people. Now what sort of system we have and whether we adopt any of these types of notification information in future is up in the air. But at the moment, at least we've got some idea of what is coming from within the EU. So this is what we say about it. As the editors Isles Samoy and Marco B.M. Luce point out, in what is, I think, a most worthwhile book, technological and economic developments require contracting parties to be informed and advised, which is the basis of the introduction. Common sense, I'm sure you can recognise. This means that they should be informed about the characteristics of these services or the goods they order. And also they should be well advised about their choices and options. In addition, they should be informed about the remedies that may be used against them and well protected from the consequences of the lack of information or notification, all of which has been said right at the beginning in the introduction. And I think it's worth repeating in perhaps a slightly different way, because that is the fundamental common sense approach, and I would have thought we might be wanting to save quite a lot of that once we leave the EU and we start restructuring some parts of our own laws, which is presumably going to happen over quite a long period of time. Now, the authors and all the contributors have analysed a number of aspects of these information and notification duties as they exist, and it's the result of a fruitful collaboration as part of the EU's Commune Research School's Contract Law and Law of Obligations Research Programme. And I'd like to thank all of them for their involvement, because I do think there has to be some sort of harmony, notwithstanding that there are going to be some pretty substantial changes taking place. Now, information and notification duties were the theme of a contract law workshop which took place for the 19th US Commune Conference in Edinburgh, which was held in November 2014. Now, while many proponents of the UK's decision to leave the EU find such duties a good reason to say goodbye to the EU, this title, I think, from Intersentia gives us as practitioners, academics and advisors much useful detail on this aspect of contract law today as it stands. There obviously are going to be changes, and we have to see what happens in the future. Now, let me just explain who's contributed to the book as a final point, because I think their names ought to come out. You get some idea of the cross-fertilisation from the various countries that have gone to make this up, and the fact that we still, I believe, can look to some harmonisation in the future, because the book contains the proceedings of the contract law workshop, with contributions coming from these following individuals. It's Sanny Jansen from Leuven, Joanna Wolkens, again from Leuven, Johan Vannerum from Leuven, Karian de Jager from Groningen, Josia Lusak from Amsterdam, Gerald de Vries from Amsterdam, Mark Kawakami and Catalina Goanta from Maastricht. And then there's the introduction from the two main players, that's Ilse Samoy from Leuven and also Marcus B. Luce from Amsterdam. Of course, the publication date is dated for 2016, and as I've indicated, we are looking at the moment. These books will continue, the rest of the EU will continue, notwithstanding our limited participation in the future should Brexit go fully ahead, which it may well do. But these books are very important. Here's the book again. There's the front, the spine and the back. You can see there. It's a paperback. Just opening it in the middle, you can see a lot of footnoting, a huge amount of detail coming from the workshop itself. Again, a lot of information there from the individual people I've mentioned who have a chapter, each effectively coming from what they're doing. And then the editors, of course, have the introduction right at the beginning to set the scene. They do say one thing at the end, which I think is probably worth considering as a final point. The implied suggestion is to just leave it all to the market. It's not one we would recommend to be introduced in the European Union. That, I have to say, is one of the problems I think we've had with Brexit, and that is that a lot of people feel it should be left to the market and there shouldn't be too much involvement elsewhere. That has been one of the problems, but that's for the future. In the meantime, we have these excellent publications, the series as well coming from Intersentia, which is very useful. There's the information, basic information there. This is part of the, as I say right at the back, it's mentioned, the US Commune European, which is there, the list of the various volumes. I'd like to thank all concerned for the work they do. At least it's a bit of It's an acknowledgement of the work you've done, so a big thank you to all concerned, and we will see where we go in the next months and years. Bye bye for now. Bye.